Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I am reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading Satellite Office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Thursday, October the 18th, 2012, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary. I want to first start by taking a look to see how the indices traded today. See how they closed here. The Dow Jones closed down 8.06 points. The Nasdaq closed down 31.25. S&P 500 closed down 3.57 points. Weakest index across the board was the Nasdaq today. Taking a look at the breadth, we had 2,373 issues advancing. We had 3,757 stocks declining on the NYSE, Nasdaq, and AMEX. We still had some, stocks making new highs here. As we had 382 stocks making new highs and 63 stocks making new lows. So let's go ahead and talk about the market today. First of all, before we go into the charts here, we did have a couple of things take place today, such as Google. Google pre-announced their earnings. Not sure if it was a mistake by the PR company or whatever the case may be. The stock sold off at 12:30. Definitely caused the markets to make a full 360. Even though the ES was able to get a nice little bounce around 2:30 to bring the market back to bring the market back close towards the open price. However, we did have that selling pressure come in thanks to Google. Pre-releasing the earnings, whether it was a mistake or not. In any case, let's take a look at the charts because that's what we want to see, so we can see what we have set up going into tomorrow's session here. And I want to first start by taking a look at the SPY. Okay, SPY closed down 38 cents, closed at 145.82. You can see here we still remain above all the moving average. We're basically trading sideways right now, and this is where it gets tricky. Why? Because you have some people that are going to try to sell the top of the range right here. Right, and you have some people that are going to try to buy up here. So right now, in my opinion, from how I plan on approaching the markets going forward, I really want to see maybe some consolidation up here, right underneath the resistance level. All right, I want to make sure I don't get caught in any type of break of the previous day's highs and get caught in some type of bull trap, kind of like what happened right up here. Or at the same time, I want to make sure I don't try to get long on a little fake breakout above the previous day's highs and then move back down. So really it's going to be taking it kind of light until you see some nice little base up here that could be signaling a move, a consolidation move for a break to the highs. Or at the same time, if we really see some stocks start to come off, we can just break right back down to these moving averages and come back down here towards the bottom of the range. So right now we're in a tricky area, and that's why you want to trade nimble and make sure you're trading the right stock. So anyway, the levels to watch for tomorrow on the SPY is today's highs around 146.52, and then today's lows for the downside around 145.33. We do have some nice support around 144.67 for the moving averages right here, and yesterday and Tuesday's lows at the same time. We do have a gap that's not filled from the gap up down here, which would bring us, if we do fill the gap, that will take us back down towards 144. So just something to keep an eye on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Qs, triple Qs. All right, taking a look at the triple Qs, you can see here we were not able to get another close above the 67.50 level, and again, you could thank Google to that. Once Google came out with their earnings announcement, you had Amazon sell-off, you had Apple sell-off, you had Baidu sell-off, you had PCLN sell-off. All right, at the same time, a couple of companies released earnings after hours, and they traded lower. CMG got crushed. I was not able to look at some of the stocks how they reported after hours because after the market closed, I actually went and cut the grass. So I will look at that tonight and see how they traded. MLNX was one of the stocks that we traded this morning in the chat room. We crushed that trade to the downside, made some nice profits on the puts, and some of the traders got short the stock in the chat room. That was pretty good. But a lot of these stocks are coming out with their earnings and selling off to the downside. So be cautious if you trade these earnings. One thing to remember: if you're trading earnings, it is a gamble. You do not know the outcome. A company can report good numbers and still sell off. So just make sure you trade it with a manageable risk. Just make sure you manage your risk accordingly. And make sure you're trading with money that you're willing to lose and risk. There's nothing wrong with playing earnings. But at the same time, just make sure it's manageable, because you do not want to blow up your account by taking a gamble bet on which way the stocks will go after they come out with the numbers. So in any case, let's take a look at the Qs. The Qs breaking below 67, we can make a move back down towards 66.5. If we chop around and continue to hold the 67.50 area or so, we still hold above this little red band, the bottom of the red band, we could just be consolidating a bit here to make a move higher. All right, so that's the Qs. Let's take a look at the IWM. IWM, IWM still, even though it had a down day today, it's still holding yesterday's lows. It's still holding above this little red zone that we're looking at right now that we will turn green once it gets above it. And once it gets above 84.50, or even call it, say this 84.60, we could get a nice move. But right now, it may need some sideways consolidation after getting this bounce off of 82 right here and make it a nice little two-point move in a matter of 2 days or so here. So that's the IWM. So as long as it holds above 83.30 or so, it looks good. If we can get a nice move over 84.16 and hold above it and push through 84.60, we can make a nice move back up towards these highs up here. All right, now let's take a look at the ES, just to touch base with the ES and the channel system, show you guys what we have showing up here. All right, and take these studies off. And what you can see here, we're still consolidating, near the top of this range right here, near the top of the channel that we've been tracking. All right, you can see how we have some possible trap action in play as we had that nice close above that level yesterday. Didn't get a confirmation today, and now the candlestick for tomorrow's candlestick is sitting right on that line right there. So if we go hold above 1450, that would be good. I'll tell you guys one thing: we start holding back below 1450, well then we may just be in this little slight downward angle range where they're buying the bottom, selling the top, buying the bottom, selling the top, and then maybe even going short at the top, buying the bottom. You guys know we called a nice reversal right here on this little trap signal on that Friday. All right, we also called to buy the market around this 1420. You guys can go through our videos on that. And you can find our videos on the website wallstreettrading.com. If you go to the upper right hand side, if you go to the My Wall Street TV tab, that's where we archive all our videos. We have a nice little setup for you guys, so you guys can look at the featured video, which is our company video, get a little bit of information on what we do over here, and check it out. So ES holding above 1450 looks good. If we take out, I would say 1447 on the ES, we could make a move back down towards these. I would say back down towards this 1438 or so. We'll have to wait and see. Let's take a look at the volatility index, because like I pointed out yesterday, the volatility index is signaling something that we're going to be expecting a nice move in the volatility here pretty soon. All right, if we continue to hold above the say 1480 area, guys, we have this resistance channel from the top of the channel that's kind of compressing the price action. So if we hold below this level, this little trend line, and we start consolidating, holding this higher base up here around 1484, you could probably expect a breakout in the volatility index above that trend line. All right, however, if we go back below 1484 and we start holding below this band, and we break this little low right here from Tuesday, we can maybe make a move back down towards 14. That will have to signal that there's no fear in the market and they're buying the market up. So we have some interesting things going on right now in the marketplace, and I'm expecting some type of big move pretty soon. And it could probably be when the earnings from Apple come out next week, I believe it is, or 2 weeks from now. I'll take a look. Let me see right here. Apple's supposed to release their earnings next week Thursday. Okay, so a week from now, 7 days from now, whatever, next week Thursday. You guys get what I'm trying to say. Apple's going to have their earnings out that come out after the bell, and that's going to be the gangbuster. That's going to definitely set the tone of the market. So keep an eye on that. We did have CMG come out today after the bell, and that stock's already looking weak, and that stock did get crushed. Let's take a look at the 5 minutes. Let's take a look at the extended session here. And yeah, that stock got smoked, ladies and gentlemen, just like every other stock that's coming out with their earnings report. Okay, so that's how that is looking. Let's take a look at crude oil. And looking at crude, I want to take a look at it via the USO. The USO, gap down, recovered. We're pretty good today. However, it's still close below yesterday's close, so it's still down 3 cents. Right now, you can see we're just chopping around in this range between, say, 33.45 and 34.50. Once we could get some nice movement outside this range, whether it be to the top side, we could hit 35. And obviously, we need to break above 35, since this was the support area that was holding the support. So now it's definitely going to be acting as resistance on this side. So crude oil is hanging in here. If we get a break, look for 35. And then we get a break above 35, look for it to be game back on for crude oil, for some momentum to come in. If we break to the downside below 33.45 and hold, look for it to come back down towards 32.50. So this is just consolidating right now. That's why I'm really not trading any crude stocks right now, or any energy stocks. Even though some of them are moving pretty nice. Let me take a look at the oil drillers, which we'll take a look at. And let's take a look at the OIH. The OIH is up 42 cents today. All right, you have this nice Fibonacci came back down, held at 61.8 Fibonacci right there, or better yet, held up. Better yet, I'm not sure if that Fibonacci was right, but better yet, held. I would say held the upper 1/3 range of that distance right there. Okay, so OIH looking good. If we can get above this little level right here, because this kind of looks like it could be a little inverse, a little head and shoulders pattern right here. All right, if we got to make sure that we get above this 41.75 level and hold. If we get above 41.75 level and hold, anybody that's thinking that this is a head and shoulders pattern, they can just basically call that off, and then we could maybe get some nice traction in the OIHs and the oil drillers. I mean, a couple of strong ones out there you could take a look at is DO. All right, DO had earnings. This one's finally starting to get some traction. I like the weekly chart on it. All right, this looks like it's picking up some momentum here. You can take a look at Halliburton. Halliburton had a nice little reversal bar yesterday. All right, and had a nice little push up today. Take a look at Rig. All right, Rig had this nice little downward channel in play. All right, and looks to go high. They have earnings next. They have earnings on the 29th of October. All right, so now let's take a look at Apple. I want to take a look at Apple because remember, like I said, Apple's not bullish until it gets back above 650. You can see it got rejected. I'm actually going to remove this trend line out the way from the little downward channel, so we're chopping around it right now. But you can see how, remember, I said if Apple cannot get back above 650, there's really no reason to be too bullish on Apple. Unless you're expecting it to, unless you're trying to pick up some cheap shares down here. But, at the same time, 650 is where you could really get some traction. But you can see it got rejected yesterday and another down day today. And again, Apple has earnings out next week. It's going to be, it's going to be very interesting to see how they report. All right. I mean, we do have some weakness in the tech sector. The tech sector is like the weakest sector right now. Take a look at VMW. They have earnings next week, Tuesday. And this stock looks to go lower. It has a nice little gap around 84. Keep this stock on watch for further downside. As you can see, it got to close below this 86 area, which was kind of the little short-term support that it's been making here for the past 2 months or so. All right, so that's VMW. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon doing the same thing like Apple. All right, breaking down out of its little support base, rallying down, rallying back up, back testing, back test resistance, holding, and closing right back in the lower part of the range. All right, I'm seeing this more and more in stocks, guys. That's kind of telling me that sentiment is changing a bit here. So make sure you're careful when you pick these stocks up off the lows, and make sure you look for that quick scalp right now, because that seems like that's what the trade is for some of these bounce plays. All right, so that's Amazon. Let's take a look at GOD. I forgot to go over the gold stocks, which gold really didn't do nothing today. It was a little bit down. All right, was down 75 cents. Still above the 50-day simple and exponential moving averages. Let's take a look at the GDX. All right, I'm not really trading gold right now because gold's really not trading pretty clean right now. So we've got to wait for it to accept a better pattern. Take a look at the GDX. GDX is kind of setting up an interesting kind of little downward channel action right here. So we have this on watch. All right, maybe the GDX sells off a little bit more, comes down here towards 49, giving a good opportunity to at least kind of manage your risk via this trend line and some of these moving averages down here, these strong moving averages. All right, so that's what we're looking at on that. Let's take a look at that euro. All right, been highlighting the fact that the euro has been trading higher. Been showing you guys some of my channel analysis action here, called the euro for the breakout before. We're not going to go through the whole, through the whole motion here, but just know that if the euro breaks back below this little area, if it falls back inside this little channel from the breakout of the channel that we had 2 days ago here, all right, and we start holding below that level, that means this could probably be a fake breakout in the euro, and we fall back in here. All right. However, if we continue to consolidate above this trend line right here, and we see the moving average start to push price action up, then this is going to be a nice little continuation pattern off this little bull type of flag channel action we have right here. Keep that on watch. We've been tracking the euro pretty much to the T, and that's been helping us out a lot. Let's take a look at the dollar. The dollar getting a nice bounce today. All right. My opinion on the dollar, just all it did was just basically fill the gap from the gap down that happened when the news out of Spain came out, I believe yesterday after the bell, and the dollar had gapped down, the euro had started trading higher, gapped up a little bit. So dollar filled the gap. Again, dollar's kind of just in this little range right here. We want to draw a range. We can say the dollar is in a range between this 78.93 level, all right, and this 80.24 level. And then even if you want to make a little bit more, a little more easier to see here, we could do something like this, and then you got basically really identify that the dollar's trading in a range here. Let me take off all these trend lines real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Take off this, and voila. So dollars in a range. We're at the bottom of the range, so it's kind of hard to go short. If the dollar continues to bounce, we may see a pullback. In some of these commodity stocks that rallied when the dollar was weak, or some of these stocks that rally, or some of these stocks that are in sectors that go up that goes up when the dollar is down. Like some of those equipment companies that obviously if the dollar's down, countries overseas could purchase our equipment, much cheaper, and etc. So that's really about it, guys. Wasn't able to make a midday market update, so I did not get to show you guys how we traded the market intraday via the 15-minute chart and the 5-minute chart. But we traded pretty well today. Had some nice calls in the chat room. We had a nice little downward channel to use as a gauge here on the ES. And everything's working out pretty well. If you have not been to our chat room yet, go to mywallstreettv.com. Password to log in is SMART, S-M-A-R-T, lowercase. If you're interested in trading at a prop firm, contact me via my email, ccooper@wallstreettrading.com. If you're currently trading at a prop firm and you're not happy with your commission rates, contact me as well, and I'm 100% sure that I can help you out with that. Have a great night, guys, and enjoy some Thursday night football tonight. Cheers.